Roughriders out of Michigan with a big strip and forced fumble for Toronto.
Well, basically, it's nothing more than a trap, and they're going to bring the backside guard, Wayne Smith. You see 52. He's going to come and do a little kick out and try and get a little opening for Henry Childs, but Chuck Winters, 32. Great job of stripping the ball from Childs.
Kevin Ivan with his third fumble recovery of the season. On the ground, Troy Davis bounces off initial contact, spins around and gets a couple in heavy traffic against this Saskatchewan defense.
Mark, what a pickup for the Argonauts in picking up Troy Davis. I mean, what a compliment to the elusive John Avery, and then you bring the hammer in, and I call him the hammer. That's Troy Davis. You know, 5 straight years over 1,000 yards rushing, and nobody picked him up. Now he's playing. Watch for him to have a big afternoon as well.
Just 3 years ago, he led the CFL in rushing with 1,628 yards. Here's Bishop rolling wide side. Going to the sideline, wide open is Andre Talbot, and he's got a catch, and they'll spot it at the 14-yard line.
Has this offense been playing sleep with everybody?
Tell you what.
Because they sure don't look like the offense we saw last week or weeks prior. They are sharp right now. Steve Barato, the offensive coordinator, has got these guys firing on all. Little bootleg action, just going to roll to the right. Good protection by Troy Davis. One of the things he does as well, he's a great blocker.
Talbot with that catch has passed the 700-yard receiving mark for the first time in his career, and he is the Argos' leading receiver coming into this football game. On the sidelines here in sunny Regina, Kahari Jones.
Guys, you talked about the struggles with the Toronto Argonaut offense and Bishop's struggles in particular. I think one thing that has failed to be realized is not having a healthy Arlen Bruce out there. Arlen Bruce is really a catalyst for what this team tries to do, and he was out with a shoulder injury earlier. Now he's healthy, and you can tell in that first drive, 3 of those balls went to Arlen Bruce, and he's got his main man in there.
And this is also the first year of the Steve Barato offense in Toronto. It's a complicated offense, and it'll take a while until everybody's on the same page. First down repeated in the flats, but the ball is behind Troy Davis. A little mix-up there. Davis just in his second appearance in double blue.
Yeah, Troy Davis actually thought he was going to run a little bit of a wheel route, which is basically go to the sidelines and then up toward the end zone. Michael Bishop thought he was going to just break it off at the sideline, so he throws it shallow, and you can see that Troy Davis was thinking he was going to go straight up the field.
Substitutions now is Chad Rempel and Mark Bollrichter, making his first appearance in 5 weeks with the Argos, is into the lineup. On a 2nd and 15, passing down, they go to double tight end formation. Bishop looking backside, throws wide side and incomplete. And Andre Talbot was covered by James Johnson, who's back in the lineup after missing last week's game.
And Mark, you see a lot of teams are starting to revert to the double tight end or the 2-back system. And what that does defensively is force a lot of them to go into man-to-man coverage or allow your quarterback to get a pre-snap read of the defense a little easier what you're going to try and run. This time, you got to give the secondary of Saskatchewan credit. They did a nice job man-to-man on that.
Noel Prefontaine with his first field goal attempt of the game. This will be from the 26. He was 0 for 3 last week from 45, 48, and 47. Prefontaine has it up and good. So the Argos with 3 points off the turnover, and they build a 10-0 lead in this important game for first. The Argos have a 10-point lead in a game they need to win or tie to clinch first place in the East Division. Here in Regina this afternoon, as we remind you, tomorrow at 8 on CBC, it's the Just for Laughs 25th anniversary special. What are the top 25 comedy performances of all time? Will it be Jerry Seinfeld, John Cleese, Joan Rivers, Russell Peters, Jim Carrey? Find out, watch tomorrow at 8 right here on CBC. 1st and 10, Roughriders. And on the ground, it's been slim pickings here this afternoon as Henry Childs is hammered on his first carry since coughing the ball up in the last series.
And Mark, he almost loses the handle on this ball as well. And this is what happens as a quarterback has to play with different backs. Yeah, you had him all week, but in a game situation, watch this. As he takes it, he looks it in, and he almost loses that ball. And it almost looked to me that Kerry Joseph was going to try and pull that and take off on a bootleg.
Childs was acquired from Montreal. They love his receiving abilities. Got a big stride, but they've been unable to get him freed up. A passing down, a crossing route, and incomplete from Michael Palmer, the former Argo. In fact, the last time these two teams met back in August, Palmer was in an Argo uniform.
Well, again, they're not in sync. It's just going to be a slant across the middle. Quick hitter, but look at the shot he takes from Orlando Steinhauer on the safety blitz from the backside. Kerry Joseph gets up, and I believe a little bit of blood from underneath the face mask.
Just 6 is in there.
Jamie Borum set to punt into the wind, and look where Dominic Dorsey is standing, just past his own 50 because of this tremendous wind in the face of the Rider punter. Borum kicks it up, and it dies in the wind, pushed down, bouncing just across the 50. Dorsey trying to draw somebody, no yards. It's Borum diving in, the punter. Flag is thrown. Of course, he's allowed to be inside that zone to recover his own punt. And the punt traveled just 28 yards through the air, a 4-yard return.
And we mentioned that earlier, going into that breeze, you have to get some offensive production to get out from under the shadow of your goalpost, because if you're going to start punting that ball, not only are you kicking to Dominic Dorsey, and I don't care what anybody says, he wants to shove one right down Saskatchewan's throat for letting him go, but you're giving great field position to the Argos when they start on offense.
Yeah, the punters will be challenged today. And the officials still huddling after that flag was thrown, with Borum diving in an effort to recover his own punt.
Well, I'll be surprised this is a penalty, because we saw, and you could hear from the Roughrider bench all the way up here, get back, give him the 5 yards, and the only guy that went into that zone was number 30, Jimmy Borham, and he's allowed to do it, as you mentioned, being the punter.
Glenn Johnson, after a conference with his fellow officials, appears to have it all sorted out. And the fans here, a near capacity crowd at Mosaic Stadium, are awaiting his answer.
We had 2 fouls on the play. On one of them, there's no infraction. On the second one, we have an illegal block on Toronto number 21. We're going to go back 10 yards.
It did look like Borum
down.
got hit from behind as he was coming in on the play.
Well, let's take a look as the ball is bouncing. Now, Dominic Dorsey knows the worst he can get is 5 yards if they encroach.
Right there.
But as you see, great call by the official. And that is actually great recognition by Orlando Steinhauer to take the penalty but not allow Borum to come up with the ball recovery.
So Steinhauer with the block from behind. But better to take the penalty than allow the punter to get on that football. So a heads-up veteran move by him. And what his coach might call a good penalty. 3:18 to go in this opening quarter. 3:18 left for the Argos to take advantage of this big wind. And they'll have first down at their own 40-yard line. And another delay on the field. And it looks like they have the ball placed improperly at the 40. The indication is it should be back another 2 yards to the 38 of Toronto. See the shadows beginning to creep here at Mosaic Stadium. A crowd in excess of 27,000 here today. Coming into this game, Chris, the Riders had 5 consecutive sellouts, and of course they've sold out next weekend's West semifinal, their first home playoff since 1988, and a lot of fans thought they should put up some temporary seating because they could have sold those. So in fact, they've moved the ball back 3 yards to the 37. They've got it all spotted and ready to go, where the Argos will start with a first down. Bishop good on 5 of 8 passes so far. Bo Richter waggling, the handoff in behind him, and John Avery is caught from behind. Scott Gordon, the safety on the blitz, is in the backfield in a split second.
Well, Scott Gordon, who at the beginning of the year was basically a backup watching Tristan Clovis, and then Clovis had that brain cramp against BC where he allowed Giroy to get behind him in the latter part of the game that let that victory get away from him. Scott Gordon's really done a nice job since he's filled that spot.
2nd and 10. 4-man rush. Bishop throwing in the middle, and it's complete. Mark Bollrichter has the catch, but a flag on the play.
Mark, this is a late flag, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a hit below the knees. Remember, if the quarterback is in the pocket, you're not allowed to hit quarterback below the knees. So we'll see what happens
Major
here.
foul. Roughing the passer. Hit the passer below the knees in the pocket. Saskatchewan, number 46. It's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. First down.
You know, Mark, a quarterback, once he gets outside on a roll, outside of either tackle, he's free game, hit him anywhere. But when he stays between the tackles in that pocket, you cannot hit him below the knees. And you see Kitwana Jones going low on that play, and a good call by the official.
Kitwana Jones with his second infraction of this first half. Here comes the blitz from Saskatchewan. The ball away to the wide side. What a catch and what a pass to Andre Talbot. And Talbot down the sidelines. Touchdown! How did he escape? A perfectly thrown ball, and the Argos leading receiver finds the end zone. Andre Talbot with his 5th receiving touchdown of the season.
Mark, you just got to be amazed the fact that they have such good chemistry. Look at this. I mean, that is just thrown over the inside shoulder. And Talbot has to turn around, catch it, and then it becomes a foot race. And Talbot takes it all the way to the end zone. And then, boy, after this point after, it's a 17-0 game. And what are the players in Winnipeg thinking right now as they're watching this game?
Talbot with his longest touchdown catch of the season, 43 yards. It's 17-0. Andre Talbot combines with Michael Bishop to burn the West Division All-Star at corner.
Well, just you got to get good protection. But again, we've seen the Argo offense. It's quick. It's a 3-step drop. Just throws it over the inside shoulder and it becomes a foot race. And you know what? James Johnson, who is an All-Star this year, one of the toughest cover guys for the Roughriders, just gets burnt on the play.
Talbot with a tightrope act down the sideline. And Michael Bishop, how about this start against this Saskatchewan defense? 7 of 10 through the air for 136 yards and a touchdown. And the Argos taking full advantage of this win here in the opening quarter.
Well, you talk to anybody from Toronto, Mark, and they'll mention one fact. We have to win this game not only for first place, but we also, if we win, the rest of our games are indoors.
That's right. It's a dome team trying to have the dome home game, a la BC in the West. The wind causing troubles with the ball on the tee. It was blown off before Prefontaine could kick it off. And there's Khalil Hill, who was injured on the very first pass route he ran in training camp this year and missed the first half of the season. Back in the lineup for the injured Corey Holmes on the return team. Starting from his 3-yard line. Gets a block from Josh Ronick. Look at the hit there as he lowers the boom on Prefontaine and busts upfield for another 7 yards on the return. Khalil Hill returning a 73-yard kick, 33 yards. The HomeSense Skate Canada International on CBC continues tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Saskatchewan and East. And following the Raptors Celtics game for Alberta West. On tap tomorrow, the men's free skate and the dance free competition. Kerry Joseph, his team in arrears by 17 points to start this football game. Back to pass. Quick shot to Henry Childs. Childs across the 40, hit by Kevin Ivan. And check that, it's Khalil Hill on the catch. Ivan and Fletcher, the tackle.
Well, maybe it's not a bad move to keep Hill involved in your offense. You see his effort on the kickoff return. Basically get him the ball. He seems to be determined, and it seems to be the only one in that Rider offense got a little life right now.
Of course, Hill into the game with the injury to Mike Washington on Thursday where he tore his patellar tendon. Look at the offense. Disparaging comparison there. 2nd and 5. Joseph under pressure and sacked Mike O'Shea. The big veteran linebacker has his 5th sack of the season and the 51st sack for this Argo defense. Double the amount they had this time last year.
And they're not fooling anybody. They're just going to bring everybody, walks up late. There's Ivan in the middle.
Flag though, Chris, against the Argos.
Illegal block, hands to the face, Toronto number 78. That's a 10-yard penalty and a first down.
It's Adriano Belli, who was kicked out of last week's game for an unsportsmanlike shot on Abi Khan.
Well, he was using his hands illegally last week, and he's using them illegally this week. Let's take a look at last week. Working against number 6. He's right in the middle of your screen. Doesn't like the fact that Abi Khan pushes him to the ground after, and
A gentleman Jerry Cooney-like shot.
Little
that
party
sent him
gift.
out of the game. And this is the second time the Argos have taken a penalty to keep a Rider drive alive. On the ground. And Josh Ronick has his first carry of the football game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He was signed, Chris, just this week as insurance with the injury to Holmes and Cates, and was at home. Stay-at-home dad, he said, when he got the phone call in South Dakota. He thought his football career was over when he was released at training camp by the Edmonton Eskimos. And he's got another shot here in the final week of the season.
Well, he was battling injury problems last year in Hamilton and early on in training camp at Edmonton this year.
Yes, he missed 8 games last year with a knee injury. Another completion, no, incomplete, as Khalil Hill can't hold on after taking a big hit.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Ramada. You do your thing. Leave the rest to us.
You know, it was Jordan Younger, the shutdown corner for the Argos, who separated Khalil Hill and the football on that play. And so now the Riders will have to punt. Final seconds of this first quarter ticking down. Borum glad to get rid of the wind in his face after this last offering. His last punt, 28 yards.
Let him go, guys! Let him go!
Borum gets a good punt into the wind and way over the head of Dorsey, who misjudged it. Back to the 5-yard line at the 4. Dorsey picks it up, and he's hammered. A big tilt in field position on the final play of the first quarter. A 51-yard punt into the wind. And they'll change ends here in Regina as the Argos come out of the chute fast and open a 17-0 lead. Rider Nation basking in the sunshine here on this Saturday afternoon in Saskatchewan. And let's check the first quarter numbers, all Argos.
Well, I think we talked about it in the pre-game show that we needed the offense of the Argos to show up, especially with first place on the line, and they really have in the first quarter. Michael Bishop, 136 yards passing. Look at Kerry Joseph, only 5. First downs, again, dominated by the Argonauts, and obviously the big turnover. It only cost them 3 points, but Henri Childs putting the ball on the ground.
Last week, the Argos needed the block punt by Ray Fontaine to set up their first touchdown, and the recovered fumble by Ray Fontaine to set up their only other touchdown to get any offense going. What a turnabout here. 17-0 to start this game. And Bishop good on 70% of his passes, and 1 touchdown pass already to Andre Talbot. Tough field position, though, and now the big arm quarterback going into the wind. Firing, and he's got another completion shy of the first down as Arlen Bruce, who takes a big hit from Arabin Justin out on the corner.
Well, Kahari hit it on the head when he said, some guys are really elevate your offense when they're back in the lineup, and I believe Arlen Bruce is definitely one of those guys. His 4th catch of the afternoon already. He is just a go-to guy, and I love the fact that when you move the ball around like this, you take a look at what he can do for you. Arlen Bruce III, he's a gamer.
Yes, he came into this game leading the Argos in offensive touchdowns with only 6, but he can break a game wide open. Bishop firing into coverage, looking for Bruce again. This time, the big veteran Eddie Davis knocks it down.
Great coverage by Eddie Davis, and that's what your veterans have to do. You have to get everybody calmed down. It's all about communication at secondary. He had some breakdowns in the first quarter. Calm everybody down, make sure you're on the same page. Just simply go out there and take care of your own responsibilities, and everything else will work out.
Hey, Chris, that's the first time the Saskatchewan defense has forced the Argos to punt. They scored on their first 3 possessions of the game. Now, Prefontaine, very close to his goal line. What do you think? Do you concede a safety here?
Well, with a 17-0 lead, I think giving up 2 definitely doesn't hurt you. And I think in the game, a field position like that, with that wind picking up, definitely a good point.
And indeed, Prefontaine will head back into his own end zone, threatening to come out, taking time off the clock. And finally pressed out of bounds. So the Argos will concede a 2-point safety, and Saskatchewan's on the board here in the second quarter. Another big house here at Mosaic Stadium at Taylor Field for the final regular season game of the 2007 football season. Tonight on Hockey Night in Canada, another full slate for you. Leafs at Montreal to play the Canadiens, Boston at Ottawa in the Ottawa region only, and then in game 2 of our doubleheader, the struggling Canucks take on Colorado on Hockey Night in Canada. Prefontaine will now have to kick it off into the wind. Khalil Hill and Josh Ronick back to return. I mentioned Hill had a spectacular kick return career at Iowa. Missed most of the season with a quad injury. And that kick hangs right up and comes straight down near the 40-yard line. There's a pileup at the 40. And we'll see who's come up with it. The Argos say they have it. Chad Rempel indicating. So is John Williams. It was a 35-yard kickoff.
Mark, I'm a little surprised that Hill and Ronick were so deep. You know he's kicking into the wind. You got to know that they're going to push it up in the air and the wind's going to carry it. And anybody on that kickoff cover team is free to recover it. It's just like a short kickoff. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Now, you know, this doesn't have to happen right here.
Look at this, a rugby scrum for the ball. There's a lot of rucking going on down there. And the Riders have it. Anton McKenzie emerges from the pileup.
Well, it just surprises me as you see the ball just hangs up in the air. And you can see Hill trying to get underneath it, but it's going to bounce in front of him. And it takes a Argo bounce by bouncing back to the cover team.
Gee, Willie Pyle had a chance to recover it.
Saskatchewan very fortunate to come up with that.
Oh, a big play there. It nearly went awry for Alex Smith and his special teams for Saskatchewan. Can the offense get on track? They've got the win now in their first series with this gale force backing. A fumbled ball. Joseph picks it up, and now he throws deep downfield. Palmer's got it. Michael Palmer, the former Argo, in behind Chuck Winters for a 41-yard pickup.
Well, in behind Chuck Winters, and Byron Parker's over there as well. And one of the things that happens, if you want to try and beat Toronto, you have to take them vertically. Toronto's defense is set up to keep everything in front of them. When you challenge them is when you find holes, and that's exactly what Saskatchewan did by going deep.
Last week, Palmer with 5 catches for 118 yards against Edmonton. And a big one there to move the sticks. Joseph under pressure. A crossing route is complete to Andy Fantuz, and the sophomore Canadian takes it down to the 11.
Well, that's a smart move. Use your receivers and take them deep, and then just drag Fantuz across the middle. He's going to be covered by Willie Pyle. As he comes across, he's wide open. Look at that. There's Chuck Winters over there. Willie Pyle's back there. They're finding holes.
Fantuz with an 18-yard pickup. He's just 44 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season in the CFL. Riders threatening in the red zone. They've scored 11 touchdowns on their last 11 trips into the red zone. But that ball is a little short to the wide side, intended for Fantuz.
Well, that's a great job of bringing the blitz to the strong side of Kerry Joseph, because as you see Pyle and Fletcher coming that way, that forces Kerry Joseph to throw that ball before he's ready. The result is an incompletion.
Willie Pyle, the only rookie to crack that veteran starting lineup with his bend-don't-break Argo defense. They've allowed only 15 passing touchdowns in 17 games this year. Here's Joseph, time, throwing across the middle. It's complete. And Michael Palmer has the catch short of the first down.
Well, even more impressive, Mark, is that the Argo defense has not given up a touchdown in 2 weeks. They have really done a wonderful job of bending, not breaking, and forcing 7 into 3, and I mean a field goal.
Yes, the Argos under Rich Stuber since 2003 have allowed the fewest touchdowns against, and they'll do it again here, forcing the Roughriders into a field goal situation. Luka Kanji, the controversial West Division All-Star at kicker, will attempt this field goal from the 15. Fantus to hold. Kanji is up and good. So on their first drive with the wind, the Riders have a field goal. One of Saskatchewan's favorite sons, the Moose Jaw native Scott Schultz, is all wired for sound today.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
There you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Hey, 3 more yards, okay.
We'll be checking in from time to time with the big man on the D-line for Saskatchewan, the master of the Moose Jaw Stomp, Scott Schultz. First down, Argos at the 35. Bishop in a bunch formation to the wide side. High snap and a handoff to Avery. Turning at the line of scrimmage, Sean Lucas is waiting there, the Sam linebacker, to make the tackle. And the gain will be only 3 to the sidelines and Kahari Jones.
Guys, talking to Ken Austin yesterday, one of the things that he said is that he didn't know how long his starters were going to play, but he wanted to make sure that they were ready for next week's game. I think from what we saw in the first quarter and part of the second, the starters are going to be playing for a while here because he's not all the way sure that they're ready for next week.
You're right, Kahari. They've got to get some rhythm going into that playoff game. They rested 12 starters last week. They don't want to go 3 weeks with guys not being polished. Bishop into the wind, strong arm, it holds up, and overthrowing Arlen Bruce, and incomplete.
You know, Mark, I'm going to kind of add to that comment about Kahari. I agree the way they play, you kind of want to build momentum, but I think that the Saskatchewan Roughriders, to me, are guilty of looking past this game and already starting to look at the playoff game next week. They came out extremely flat in the first quarter, and it wasn't until they took the ball with the wind in the second quarter they amounted anything productive on offense.
Well, Ken Austin was saying the standings have nothing to do with the way we prepare for this football game. He wants to continue the consistency of that 5-game winning streak going into the playoffs. But they look pretty rusty here. Prefontaine takes more time off the clock and hammers this one into the wind. It holds up to Hill at the 45. A flag down. This will be no yards against Saskatchewan. A 28-yard punt into the wind and a 4-yard return for Saskatchewan. This will be the 6th consecutive year the Argos will go into the playoffs under head coach Pinball Clements. That ties the Argo record for longest playoff streak by a Toronto head coach with Lou Heyman, who did it from 1936 to 1941. Kerry Joseph with a bullet down the middle and another completion underneath the soft belly of that Argo defense. And Michael Palmer, the former Argo, has his second big catch.
I remember Palmer's practice against this very Argo defense many times when he was a member of the Argonauts, but it all starts, look at the protection. If you don't have the protection, this play doesn't have time to develop because Michael Palmer has to find the hole in the zone and sit down, and by that time, ball's delivered, nice play.
Palmer getting more playing time with the injuries at receiver to the Riders. Play action, a good fake by Joseph, and he'll run. The CFL's leading rusher at quarterback will scoot out of bounds at the 25 with a Rider first down.
You know, Mark, that's the first time that Kerry Joseph has taken off with the ball this afternoon, and I really feel for this offense to be at peak potential, you have to make him part of your running attack, and that means you've got to pull the ball, take off, get to the outside, challenge those ends. Now they're a little bit more conscious about staying outside, and that opens up the running lanes inside.
Riders in a no-huddle offense here. Lots of waggling going on. Pressure. The ball's away. A crossing route in and out of the arms of Michael Palmer. But a flag is down in the Saskatchewan backfield, and Palmer would like to have that one back.
Well, he might get a break because I think it might be a late hit on the quarterback. I saw Kerry Jones do it. Kerry Jones.
Kahari Jones, is he in uniform?
Yeah, he could be. Kerry Joseph doing a little bit of a backward
Major
somersault.
foul. roughing the passer, Toronto number 21. Late hit, half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's the second time the Argos have had a roughing the passer.
Yeah, he's just going to come, and there he is right there. I don't know. That's a tough penalty right there. He tried to pull up. I don't kind of agree with that one.
Let's bring Kahari in and his street clothes on the sidelines.
One of the things I got a tip before the game that the Toronto Argonauts were going to do a lot more blitzing this game. And as you see on this play, they're lining up in the blitz. They saw some things that they could beat for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it's worked so far.
Here they come again, but the ball's away and incomplete. In the flats to DJ Flick, too far for him. And this Argo defense has been a pressure defense much more this year than we've seen in the past, with 51 sacks.
Well, it's a risk-reward defense. You're going to take the risk on the blitz. You better hope that you get there quick enough that he can't complete this pass, because if you bring in that many, somebody's free. Now, if your quarterback has time, he's going to find that open man that's going to burn you.
I'll tell you what, Kerry Joseph's taken a lot of hits in this first half. He's 5 of 11 for 81 yards so far, and 1 rushing touchdown from tying Doug Flutie's record for quarterbacks. Passing on this down, throwing in traffic, it's complete. Michael Palmer, the Argos say it's incomplete, but they're going to spot it inside the 5, and Palmer making good on the drop ball with a tough catch.
Well, he made the catch. I think that the Argo defense was just trying to say that he didn't get the forward progression that the officials are going to give him, because it's all going to come down to the mark to see if they did indeed pick up a first down. They're probably going to call the sticks in for a measurement.
Looks like he may have been shaken up on the tackle, and you don't want to see that if you're a Rider fan after they lost Mike Washington to a torn patellar knee tendon in practice this week. Palmer with 4 catches for 67 yards. They'll be shy of the first down here. 3rd and 1 at the 4 of Toronto. And a diving plunge by the QB, Kerry Joseph, for the first down.
Well, that's a nice job of Joseph just going high. It's a lot more dangerous as a quarterback going high, because you put yourself open to get a hit from a linebacker coming over the top. Usually you try and stay low. He just sees a little bit of a bubble, and that's why he jumped up there. Most of the time they'll instruct your quarterback, stay low and follow your offensive lineman. That time he saw something and took a gamble, and it worked.
Bring the sticks in for another measurement. The Riders have been so strong in the red zone. On their last venture inside the Argo 20, they settled for the field goal, the first time in 12 visits to their opponent's red zone that they did not score a touchdown. Now they've got a great chance here with a first down.
Well, that's what you want on your offense. You want peak production and 100% efficiency when you're 11 for 11 until, as you say, the last time they had to settle for the field goal.
So 1st and goal, Saskatchewan, with the ball at the 3-yard line of Toronto. They'll load up the line of scrimmage, and Kerry Joseph up behind his center, Jeremy O'Day, on first down. Turning, handing off, Josh Roddick, head down to the goal line, touchdown. There's the signal. Josh Roddick in his first game, a flag down though, has his first touchdown of the year, and it comes in the 18th game of the season.
And great determination by Josh Roddick to keep the legs going. He's hungry. He hasn't played for a long time. He's fresh as they come right now, and he's healthy, and he's not going to be denied. Nice surge of the offensive line.
Offside, Toronto. Penalties to
Toronto with the offside. They basically just encroached on that 1 yard.
So Josh Roddick, the little ball of hate they used to call him, plunges into the end zone for his first touchdown after being cut by the Eskimos in training camp. And now Pinball's Argos have a game on their hands. Roddick, who was signed just this week out of South Dakota. You know, he told me he stopped training after week 9 because he thought if nobody called me in the CFL by mid-season, my career is probably over. He got back on the weights and training in the last 2 weeks because he was going to try out for this new All-American Football League in the States. And what do you know, Eric Tillman, the Saskatchewan GM, gives him a phone
Well,
call.
he wouldn't come anywhere else except here because of Tillman. He has a relationship with Tillman from Ottawa. He has a relationship with Kerry Joseph in Ottawa, and that's why he can find success with this offense.
It's a 5-point ball game here in Regina. Jeremy Jones and the Rider Hoggies helping to push that one into the end zone.
Well, it's a trap block again. And Wayne Smith, the guard right here, is going to pull out and go like this, and they're just going to try and hit Josh Ronick in that hole. Watch 52. Wayne Smith pulls, goes up there, gets a nice job, just a little bit of a seam, and that allows the powerful Josh Ronick, all 5'8" of them, 200-plus pounds, to break the goal line.
You know, it's amazing to think, Chris, that's the first rushing touchdown for Ronick since he played in Ottawa in 2005, the last season for the Renegades. Last year, he missed half the season with a knee injury and did not score one with Hamilton. From the 14-yard line, Dominic Dorsey, who's taken 3 kicks back for touchdowns this year, into a crowd at the hash marks across the 30, and flags are down there as he's taken to the turf.
And once again, because of the number of orange nylon on the turf, it'll be against the Argos. It'll be starting a little deeper than the return provided by Dominic Dorsey.
Holding. Toronto, number 16. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Well, the wind has been a huge factor in this football game. Both teams have scored on every one of their offensive drives with the wind. And here's the anatomy of the Riders' first touchdown drive. It began with a nice catch by Palmer in traffic. Play action run by Joseph for a first down. A big handoff to Josh Ronick, and he plunges into the end zone to move the Riders to within 5 points. On first down, the handoff is to Troy Davis, and Davis is buckled at the 15-yard line as Luke Mullender gets in there with Sean Lucas.
Well, Saskatchewan defensively and offensively has woken up with the wind. You know that one of the attributes of Michael Bishop, though, is he has a tremendously strong arm. And you think that maybe the wind may not be such a factor as he throws it.
Davis with 2 carries for 9 yards so far today. Had just 2 carries for 13 yards last week against Winnipeg. Here's a big arm, and Bo Richter fumbles with the ball, brings it back in, and he'll have a catch and a Toronto first down.
Well, they're really waiting for Mark Bo Richter to be the player he was back in 2000 with Calgary. They feel like he's got a lot of potential. Came and he really fought the ball earlier in the season. It's been a healthy scratch for a number of games this year. Getting another opportunity, but Daryl Mitchell's out. Bo Richter comes in, and he's going to see if he can make the most of it.
The Argos continually shuffling their receiver lineup, looking for the right combination. They've looked sharp in this game. 23 different players have caught passes for the Argos this year as receivers. Bishop back to pass into the wind. It's short, intended for Talbot, and incomplete. Kahari.
Guys, one of the things that you notice against the wind, it's not necessarily about scoring, especially in wind like this. It's about getting first downs. You want to knock time off the clock as much as possible and not give the opposing team's offense enough time with the wind. Saskatchewan didn't do a good job of that. Toronto is trying to do that right now.
Great point, Kahari. Limit the damage a team can do to you when they've got the wind, and we've seen the results here so far today. All 5 scoring drives with the wind. 2nd and 10. Bishop under pressure, firing, and it's complete. And out of bounds goes Tony Miles with his first catch of the football game.
Well, Tony Miles, who's going to be working against Eddie Davis, just goes up the field and breaks it to the sideline. 6 receivers out. It's up to the offensive line to provide a little bit of protection to allow him to get that ball out to him. And Tony Miles does a nice job of making that grab and picking up a first down.
You know, we mentioned off the top, this is the first time the Argos have ever played a game in Regina in November, and Tony Miles is one of those guys who doesn't really like playing in the cold. And he's got his first catch in terrific conditions, really, in early November here in Regina. On the ground, Troy Davis is hammered at the line of scrimmage, and look at the push from the little back as he moves the pile another 2 or 3 yards. He was caught in the backfield and managed to get right back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, he is powerful. We talked about the fact he's also got fresh legs, hasn't played for a little over a year, and as you say, when he makes contact, he's one of those backs, though, that basically gets stronger as the game goes on. He loves to touch the ball around 15 to 20 times. That's when he's most effective.
Another back cut by Edmonton back in February. They said he was washed up, didn't have any speed anymore, no more burst. In his second game, pressure, ball's away, high jump catch from Arlen Bruce, and he's very close to the first down marker in front of Tad Cornegay. Let's go to the sidelines now, and here's Steve.
Mark, some bad news for the Toronto Argonauts, especially on a day here at Mosaic Stadium when kicking could be a key part of the game. Their kicker, Noel Prefontaine, is finished for the day. I said, Noel, what's the problem? He said, I probably can't tell you this, but he alluded to something about a reoccurrence of a concussion problem. Mark?
Oh, Steve, that's terrible news. Yes, the concussion suffered by Noel Prefontaine in the first game on that block punt by BC's Baron Miles. They've got Chris Hardy, though, the backup safety, who's a pretty good kicker. What a move there on the far sidelines, and Arlen Bruce skipping down the sideline for a big gain. Another catch in close coverage, but Arlen Bruce with big yards after the catch and a gain of 20 here in Regina. Arlen Bruce with 6 catches for 92 yards in this first half. Early consideration for Warrior of the Game. We'd like you to log on to cbcsports.ca during the second half to vote for the player who has shown the heart, grit, determination of a Warrior. Warrior of the Game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. The Argos, against the wind, have begun to move the ball by going to a 6-pack receiver set, Chris. And this drive began at their own 12-yard line. They've, we heard Kahari say, take time off the clock when you don't have the wind, right? Well, they're doing that. They've taken 4 minutes off the clock, and they're moving the football. 1st and 10 at the 42 of Saskatchewan. Bishop throwing it for Bo Richter in the sunshine. Incomplete, but a flag on the play. Rontarius Robinson, the field halfback in coverage, along with Sean Lucas, and Lucas may have gotten too close on the play.
Well, that is a great job of Michael Bishop to recognize the coverage. They run a bunch formation to the short side. They get the tight end, Mark Bolrichter, locked up on the
Saskatchewan 31. First down at the point of the foul.
And Sean Lucas gets the call.
They get him lined up on that Sam linebacker, and he loses sight of the ball in the sun and does the next best thing, which is basically make sure the receiver can't grab it. And see, he lost it, basically interferes with Mark Bolrichter, and that's an easy flag.
Pass interference will move the ball to the 19 inside the red zone. Bishop going against this stiff wind, and a first down in the shotgun. Saskatchewan blitzing, they'll hand off, and Avery tiptoeing, trying to get away from it. And he is smacked to the turf, shy of the 15-yard line. Fred Perry in on the play for Saskatchewan.
Well, great penetration. You see Fred Perry just knocks the lead blocker over, and Sean Lucas turns him back into the rest of his teammates, trying to make up for that early interference call. Take a look at Fred Perry as he just does a rush and basically just runs over Mark Bolrichter.
Just a gain of 2 on the play, 2nd and 8. Argos without their kicker into the wind. They have to attempt a field goal. A dump pass to Avery. Avery twisting and turning, and he'll have a first down for Toronto as Scott Gordon makes the tackle. So the Argos convert a huge 2nd and 8 situation.
And again, a situation where Michael Bishop is reading the defense. He sees they're bringing a blitz, just rolls out to the left and dumps it back to the middle to the running back, John Avery. A little bit of a screen, and he picks up the rest of the first down. And it's just smart play calling.
Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator, trying to solve this Argo offense that has gone to a 6-receiver set throughout this drive. Here they are, 1st and goal from the 4. Play action. Bishop rolling to the wide side, throwing into the end zone, and incomplete. Another flag on the play. and Justin was all over the Argo receiver, Andre Talbot.
Well, Michael Bishop is not affected by this wind at all. Again, play action, get to the outside. That buys him some extra time as Fred Perry bites on the running back, and you see right there, that's a good
Saskatchewan,
call.
number 24. The ball was in goal. Put the ball on the 1 yard line. First down.
First and goal from the 1.
And that's the second interference call against the Riders on this drive that have helped Toronto all the way down to the 1 yard line.
And as we mentioned, this drive starting way back at the Argo 12. What a drive into the wind to eat up the remaining 5 or 6 minutes of this second quarter. First and goal from the 1. Argos on the ground. Avery diving. Touchdown. John Avery silencing this big crowd here in Regina with his second rushing touchdown of the game and his third in 2 games since coming back.
And the big thing, Mark, is the first points scored by Toronto against the wind. They scored 17 first quarter points. Didn't really do much until this drive, but they really did take control. They marched, as you say, from their own 12-yard line, finished off by John Avery. Takes it across for the touchdown, his second of the afternoon.
First point scored against the wind by any team in a terrific drive that took 5 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock. How about that? Terrific offense. And so it will be Chris Hardy replacing the injured Noel Prefontaine with the point after. And the back ab kicker is good. With the convert, Avery opens a 10-point lead. Monday at 8, money-hungry entrepreneurs pitch their business ideas to 5 cutthroat investors in hopes of walking away with cold hard cash. Catch an all-new episode of Dragon's Den, Monday at 8 on CBC.
Take me out the game. Come here. Take me out the game. I love you, baby. Take me out the game.
Great surge by that offensive line, and John Avery's going to leave his feet and go over. And all he has to do is break that play in the goal line play, and the official right there with the call. And 24 points by this Toronto offense
How
today.
about that? This Argo offense, which ranks last or second last in virtually every major offensive category. And the big men, I know you got a soft spot for them. They've worked hard here today. In 3 trips to the red zone, Chris, the Argos have 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
But that's the most demoralizing one right there, because if you're Saskatchewan, you're saying, hey, we got the win. We got to take advantage of it, and you couldn't stop the Argo offense in that drive. And as you said, they ate up over 5 minutes of valuable time for their offense.
You hear John Avery a moment ago saying, take me out of the game. Like, I mean, he's just saying, no one's going to take me out of this game. Pinball was telling us yesterday, they love him. Verado loves him, but he's been so injury prone. He's got to get the confidence of the coordinators and the coaches that he can stay in for more than a couple of games and not being hurt. Khalil Hill runs into trouble early, 3 yards into his return, and down he goes. The anatomy of the Argo scoring drive that went into the teeth of that Saskatchewan win, starting at the 12, and it was a pass interference call against Sean Lucas that set them up at the 4, or rather this play to the 4-yard line. A great twisting and turning move by John Avery, and he caps it off with a plunge at his second rushing touchdown.
That guy's sitting on 10 yards.
Some advice from Steve Verado to Michael Bishop, who has looked terrific after struggling in recent weeks. And first down now for the Riders. Kerry Joseph wants to throw with the wind. He's in the grasp, and down he goes. The 52nd sack of the season for the Argos, and Jonathan Brown now has his 12th, a team-leading 12th sack, one away from his career high.
Well, this is basically a coverage sack, because initially Kerry Joseph's a ton of time to look down the field, but everything's covered. Take a look at 97. He's working against one of the best offensive linemen.
Saskatchewan, number 67. That penalty's declined. Second down.
Working against Gene Mikowski on that play, but as you say, all for naught anyway, as Abu Mekrek, 67, the right guard, is going to get the penalty. He's just going to come off right there. You can see him. He just grabs and takes down Michael O'Shea.
The clock starts with the whistle. Now in the final minute, Joseph on second Down and long, throwing a beauty with the wind to DJ Flick, and Flick looking over both shoulders, couldn't find the football. And he has yet to get a catch in this first half of football. A reminder coming up in 47 seconds. Elliott in the panel with their first half analysis, and then we'll go back in the day. Another popular feature on yesterday in the CFL. Another big crowd here in Saskatchewan. I mentioned 5 sellouts. There are the panel boys all huddled up. They probably got heaters, even though it's above zero. Bunch of softies. Jamie Borum now, after a couple of tough punts into the wind, will have the wind at his back here in the final minute to try to get his team out of tough field position. Hammering a line drive. Dorsey fumbles it in the air. Here comes Sean Lucas. A fight for the ball is still loose. The Riders think they've got it. Flags are down.
Mark, there might be an interesting call here because as Lucas was going for that ball, he actually pushed Dorsey in the back. You're not allowed to interfere with anybody trying to recover the ball. That might be what the flag is there.
That might be the call indeed. You're right. He was all over Dorsey in a foot race for the football. Glenn Johnson now with the call. Yep.
We think it may be Dorsey.
2 calls, no yards, and then the shot from behind, and Ken Austin doesn't like it. It's aggressive football.
Well, it's aggressive football, but it's a good call, and that's what the rule is. And that basically is you cannot impede against anybody trying to get to that football. And as the ball goes loose, this is a big break for Toronto right here, as it would have gave Saskatchewan a wonderful field position, but they're going to get a break.
Legal interference on a loose ball, Saskatchewan 31. That penalty's declined. No yards, Saskatchewan 31, a 15-yard penalty. First down.
Look at Ken Austin has blown a gasket here on the call, having words with the head linesman Al Bradbury.
Well, take a look and you'll see there's 31, and there he is right there. Now there he pushes him in the back. You see him grab the jersey? But you have to have one call, not both. I'm a little surprised that they doubled up on that penalty right there.
It's a good call, Chris. Even though they don't like it here in Riderville. What a break, though, for the Argos. You can't do that, Chris. You know that. Keep shaking his head here in the booth. 35 seconds. Avery battling near the midfield stripe.
Well, it's interesting, Mark, when I look at that play and I look at Sean Lucas and I see him interfering, and the interference is actually him grabbing the jersey anyway, so it should be one penalty. You can't call both of them. A little surprised by that, but hey, that's the way it went. Ended up being a double against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
You know, after the Argos took more than 5 minutes off the clock in that touchdown scoring drive by Avery, the Riders didn't have much to answer back with the wind. We're hoping to get that turnover.
Now, they did have DJ Flick wide open down the seam. It just was overthrown, and DJ, as you say, lost sight of the ball. Had he caught that, would have been a big play for the Sask offense.
You know, part of the problem too with the wind, and Kahari can probably vouch for this, is sometimes your ball will carry. It'll go further than you want, and we saw that on the long throw to DJ Flick. Still looking for his first catch in this football game.
11 seconds.
The Argos have called a timeout, and they'll put 2 more seconds on the clock to 11. Michael Bishop has had a very sharp first half. His football team has carried him through some lean offensive games, the last 2 in particular, last week with 34% completion rate. The defense and special teams have been the strong suit for the Argos, but here in this first half, he has really looked good.
Well, he's getting a lot of help from his receivers as well. Arlen Bruce with 6 catches. How about Andre Talbot's great over the inside shoulder, turns it in for a touchdown. Just great plays from the receivers, and that's what you need. Everybody has to be on that same page, make big plays when you get an opportunity.
Well, the dying seconds of this first half, Bishop rolling away from pressure, firing a bullet into the wind, and Andre Talbot with a catch on that hook route and a first down with 5 seconds to go. Really way out of field goal range, though, for backup kicker Chris Hardy, who would face the wind here.
Well, and of interest, Mark, is I haven't seen any pressure from the Saskatchewan defense on Michael Bishop. And one of the fortes of the Saskatchewan defense is they will bring the blitz, not allow your quarterback to get any kind of a comfort zone. Definitely not get any momentum. And Michael Bishop definitely has both of those.
And Richie Hall doesn't look too happy either. Final play of the first half. Bishop with the big arm throwing downfield for Bruce. He's got it and drops it at the goal line. Oh my goodness. He had the ball and dropped it.
Well, the only one that saw that football was Arlen Bruce, because Cornegay in coverage, there's a flag on the play as well. They lost sight of the ball, and Arlen Bruce turned back in to the middle of the field and should have come up with an easy touchdown.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan. Was after the play, which was an incomplete pass. The quarter's over. We'll apply the foul to start the third period.
So a break for the Riders as the gun sounds. And the Argos will not be able to finish that drive. But what a thrilling moment there for Arlen Bruce, who already has 6 catches for 92 yards, and Kent Austin still going back over that call against Sean Lucas.
You see the ball's in the air, and Cornegay's already out of the picture, and actually got to give him credit because he gets that left arm in there and just dislodges that ball from Arlen Bruce. I believe Arlen is one of the toughest guys to strip the ball from.
He had the ball for a moment, took one step, and then it was loose and ruled incomplete, and Cornegay has a sigh of relief at his own goal line. The Argos with a 24-12 lead, and Kent Austin still fuming as he heads to the locker room, and the teams get set for the halftime break. The Argo offense has come alive here as they battle for first place in the East in the final game of the regular season.
Vote for your 2007 CFL Warrior of the Year, presented by GMC Sierra. Now is your chance to cast a ballot online, choosing the player that you think brings the most grit and determination to the game. The Warrior of the Year gets a 2008 GMC Sierra. Go to cbcsports.ca/football. That will make your choice count. First of all, a message to Mark Lee. Mark, who's up there in the heated booth being fed grapes and closed while we're out here facing the elements, shielded only by a small screen? Just remember, when you start talking about who the tough guys are, Greg, Michael Bishop under a lot of scrutiny, that pass made it for you.
Well, you know what? This is almost identical to the touchdown throw he had last week to Arlen Bruce, but really illustrates the physical skills that he has. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the CFL that have no business making that throw, but his arm is so strong, he can make that look very easy.
You don't see anybody come into Saskatchewan and make that throw against the wind. No one does that. Kahar, you couldn't even do it.
Ah!
No, I didn't try to do it.
he just handed off to Charles Roberts.
I knew my limitations, but no, this guy's playing fantastic. It's good to see Michael Bishop come back into the form that we saw him in earlier in the season. I think he's playing fantastic football, and against the wind, that's what you really see. Both teams had success with the wind, but you saw him drive down the field, take 5-6 minutes off the clock with the wind. I thought that was incredible against it.
The thing that should be mentioned here is Saskatchewan won the coin toss at the beginning of the game. They deferred to the second half, so they will have the choice on how the wind is played out during the second half. Kerry Joseph in the first 6 of 13, 90 yards. How long do you think you keep him in if you're Kent Austin?
I got to leave him in for at least another good 2 series, because you need to get him used, and his receivers used to seeing tough defenses like this, just to understand it all.
With Khalil Hill, with Marshall, with Palmer, you have to keep him in. He has to get comfortable with those guys going into the playoff game. It doesn't matter right now. You're not worried about him getting hurt. You want him playing. I would play him the rest of the game. Get him comfortable in there.
Do you guys agree with what Chris really had to say up there in the booth about the fact that Saskatchewan kind of mailed this one in for almost a quarter and a half?
I think they got surprised in that first half. I really do. I don't think they necessarily mailed it in. I think Bishop is just playing great football, and they're not covering the best receiver out there, which is Arlen Bruce.
When I think beginning the game, I think it was accurate to say that the Saskatchewan Roughriders in their defense, they were really vanilla, and they were doing some really soft zones. You saw them tighten up. Eddie Davis made a nice play on Bruce, I believe. Yep. You know, so they tightened things up, and that's what they did going into the second quarter.
Eddie's really been the only one that stepped up pretty consistently today. I mean, he's breaking on the ball nice. He's making tackles. He's doing what you're supposed to do when you're the all-star veteran.
Well, and I would say that, you know what, Saskatchewan and what they're going to bring from a blitzing package is going to be reduced because they don't want to show too much to the Calgary Stampeders going into next week.
The only thing that I disagree with you guys on about Joseph, and you talked about it in the first half, the Argonauts are really going after him, and I wonder what's the point where you say, Kahari, quick to you, do you risk taking the hit?
No, he's got to stay in there. He's got to go with these guys. I mean, Kerry Joseph is a tough guy. He's played throughout a lot of pain this whole year, and going into the playoffs, you need Kerry Joseph being 100% and being on the same page with his receivers.
All right, so we'll see. Ken Austin still has to talk to our own man out there, Steve Armitage. We'll hear what Austin has to say about a big loss for the Argonauts, too. Noel Prefontaine going forward. Andre Talbot, a huge touchdown as the Argonauts have the lead.
Back in the day, a shift in time. Brought to you by Nissan, trucks and SUVs.
He was so reliable they called him Robo-Kicker. Dave Ridgway began his CFL career by getting cut by the Montreal Alouettes in 1981. The following season, he signed as a free agent with Saskatchewan, and so began his sublime 14-year odyssey on the Prairie Gridiron. During his career, Ridgway put up some impressive numbers. He owns the record for most field goals in a season, 59, as well as the most field goals in a game with 8. He also led the West in scoring 3 times and was a 6-time CFL All-Star. But without a doubt, the career-defining moment was the game-winning 35-yarder with 2 seconds left in the '89 Grey Cup to give Saskatchewan its second championship in franchise history. Laughed out loud when I saw this, but be careful what you wish for. Henry Burris is not happy about not being named the West nominee for Most Outstanding Player, and he will be in an ornery mood next week. Second half is next.
The CFL on CBC is brought to you by Dodge and their retailers. Grab life by the horns.
The Argos with a 12-point lead as we get set to start the second half. To the sidelines, though, and here's Steve with the pinball.
Michael, your offense picked a perfect time to catch fire.
They sure did. And I tell you, they just did a great job in the first quarter coming out and setting the tone. And what a drive. I think that's the difference in the football game right now is the drive. They came out 100 yards down the field. It was an amazing drive. Using the clock, getting points into this win was probably the biggest part of this game up until now.
You may have the only quarterback in the CFL who can throw into this win.
I think both of these two quarterbacks probably both have the strongest arms in the league. So both of these guys can get it done. We know we got a long way to go.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, the best part was the way Bishop threw into the wind in that huge touchdown drive he engineered. Well, Ken Austin looked pretty upset when he left for the dressing room at the end of the first half. He's standing by with Steve now.
Ken, what got you so upset at the end of the half?
I don't want to talk about it.
All right, tell me what you said to your team at the half.
So we need to show up defensively, and when we get down there and score in territorial offensively against this good defense, we got to get majors, not field goals.
How long do you stay with Kerry Joseph?
We'll see how it goes this half.
Thanks, Ken. Guys.
Well, Steve, the Riders won the coin toss, so they had the choice here in the second half, and they have decided to take the ball and the wind here in the short quarter. We thought they might go for the wind in the fourth, which is always a bit longer with that stop time in the final 3 minutes. They want the wind to try to kickstart this offense here in the third quarter. And as they get set up on offense, let's check those first half stats.
Oh, I think the first half stats will tell you one thing, and that is that the Argonauts are moving the ball, and they had a great second quarter, especially that 100-yard-plus drive into the wind. Saskatchewan only 2 first downs with the wind, and both of them aided by penalties. They've got to pick it up. Now they're taking, as you say, the win in the third quarter. They've got to get some production here, Mark.
Yes, Kerry Joseph good on less than half of his 13 attempts, 6 of 13 for 90 yards as he straps it on in the shotgun, and a 6-receiver set here on first down. Pressure. He nearly got it from the blind side. Now he gets the ball away and complete. No, it's dropped by Josh Ronick. And Ronick sitting out there covered by Kenny Wheaton, but talk about dodging a bullet in the backfield. Kerry Joseph nearly got creamed from the blind side.
Well, Kerry Joseph and Michael Bishop are probably two of the stronger quarterbacks physically. We know about their arm strength, but they can break that initial tackle. But you got to make these catches. I'm surprised at Josh Ronick. Of course, he's been on the ball for a long time, Mark. He doesn't come back to the ball. He actually sits there and waits. That allows Wheaton to come up and make the play.
Yeah, you can't blame him. He hasn't played football all year. Coming back this week as an emergency substitute here for the Riders. 2nd and 10. 5 receivers downfield. Ronick blocking. He can't help out there. Another sack. Willie Pyle with the 3rd Argo sack of the football game, and his 5th of the season, his rookie year out of Virginia Tech.
Well, they've done this a number of times. They're going to bring 2 guys off the side right here. And as they bring both Fletcher and Pyle, the back can only pick up one. What you have to do as an offense is usually you slide to the blitz. Get your offensive lineman out there and just slide to that, and that'll allow your quarterback a little bit more time.
Boy, that's where they really miss big Chris Zarka, who is sidelined right now after cutting off the tips of his thumb and finger in a home table saw accident a few weeks ago.
Let him go!
As Ronick was just overpowered there on the blitz. A bouncing ball to Dominic Dorsey, retreating to his 31-yard line. He's fumbling with it on the turf, picks it up. There's a flag on the play, and maybe he hadn't touched the ball when the Riders got too close.
Well, that's exactly what
or is there a block
at.
From behind? That's the indication on Khalil Carter. And we'll take a break as the Argos get set to come on offense. Welcome back to Mosaic Stadium here at Taylor Field in Regina. Michael Bishop back to offense here to start the second half. What a great first half. 14 of 21 for 219 yards and a touchdown. Chris, that's more yards and a half than he had in each of his last 2 full games.
Well, especially coming off his worst passing performance last week. But take a look downfield. Done a nice job going deep. He's got the 43-yarder to Andre Talbot. He's finding success all over the football field. Not just shallow or intermediate, but he's going along.
And that 98-yard drive into the wind in the second quarter. John Avery bouncing, no hole there for him as he is slammed. Fred Perry shutting the door right at the line of scrimmage as Avery shakes his head.
And Mark, it's paramount that the Saskatchewan defense takes a page out of Toronto's book and tries to get the ball back for his offense as much as possible with the wind.
Fred Perry, one of the Western All-Stars, one of 9 on this Saskatchewan football team. The big man who leads his defense in tackles. 2nd and 10 Argos. 4-man rush. They'll drop 8 Saskatchewan. In traffic, Arlen Bruce incomplete. And Tad Cornegay, who nearly let Bruce get away with a big touchdown on the last play of the first half, was tough in coverage there.
Well, nice job of recognizing and peeking. A little bit of peeking in the backfield, seeing where Michael Bishop wants to go with this ball, knowing that Arlen Bruce has been Bishop's favorite target throughout the first half with 6 catches, and gets a jump on it and almost comes up with a big pick.
So now, without Noel Prefontaine, Chris Hardy, the backup punter, stands at his 10-yard line into the wind. There's one onside Argo. Because of the wind, it'll likely be held up. It looks like Wayne Shaw. It is Shaw standing behind the kicker, Hardy.
Let him go!
He is onside. The ball holds up into the wind. Shaw's there, can't get there. A great block on the play to keep him away from the football as it bounces out of bounds. And what terrific field position for the Riders. A 12-yard punt as Shaw, staying onside, tried to get to it to recover it, but couldn't.
Well, that's one thing when you have Noel Prefontaine punting, because he has an excellent leg and he can kick into the wind. But when you bring Chris Hardy, who is the backup punter, into this situation, not only is he cold, hasn't punted on a regular basis, but against a stiff wind, that's the result, 12 yards.
So the Riders with a first down at the Argo 36. Motion now is Flick gets the audible from his quarterback. 4 receivers wide side. The play is whistled dead as the play clock ticked to 0 before they got the snap off.
Well, you've got 20 seconds to get this audible.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan number 4. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
It just takes too long. He tries to change the play. You called it. He was changing the play according to the defense he saw from the Argos, but just didn't have enough time, and the 20-second clock ran out, and thus the flag.
5-yard penalty down, repeated. 1st and 15 now at the 41 of the Argos. For Kerry Joseph, the West nominee for most outstanding player. Argo blitzing. Joseph passing and nearly intercepted. Knocked down by Kevin Iben, and he saw that at the last minute. The ball hit him before he could get his hands on it.
Well, I think he was surprised that he was that close to the ball. He was looking at Michael Palmer, who's had a pretty productive first half. 77. There he is right here. Take a look at him. He's just going to sit down there, and that ball is thrown behind Palmer. You want to lead your receiver to the sidelines and away from the coverage. That play was into the coverage, and Iben almost with a big pick there.
On the sidelines, the backup Marcus Crandall, who started and played last week's game against Edmonton. Joseph scrambling, and Adriano Belli is the first man to make the hit and celebrate it. The big nose tackle for the Argos, and a tackle on the play that will force Luka Kanji out onto the field in a field goal attempt with the wind.
Well, there you see Jonathan Brown. Nice job of working against Wayne Smith coming back. I mean, that is a gimme sack because of the fact that they forced, the outside forced Kerry Joseph to step up into the pocket, and that's where your ends and tackles can just fall off the blockers and make the play. But again, Saskatchewan having a hard time handling the blitz package of the Argos.
Luka Kanji, his longest this year from 50. This attempt will be from the 49-yard line with a stiff wind. Placement from Fantuz. Kanji hits it wide right. It's fumbled in the end zone, and Dominic Dorsey will give up a single. James Johnson down on the play first for Saskatchewan, but Kanji wide right from 49 for a single point. Well, the big men for this Rider offense having trouble generating any consistency against the Argos here today. To remind you, Tuesday at 8, catch the Rick Mercer report. This week, Rick heads to the University of Saskatchewan, up the road in Saskatoon, where he'll practice with the wrestling team, pose nude for the art class, and drive racing cars built by the engineering students. That's all new. Rick Mercer report coming up Tuesday at 8 on CBC. 1st and 10 on the 41 for the Argos against the wind. And the handoff to John Avery, and that's a good carry there through traffic as Eddie Davis finally helps bring him to rest. And a gain of 7 yards on the play for Avery.
You know, right now you've got to give credit to the Argo team, both defensively and offensively, because usually the special teams and defense be carrying it. But right now they are laying and licking, and they're in hostile country. They're in Saskatchewan. This is one of the hardest places to play. And right now it looks like they're the wolf and Saskatchewan are just a bunch of sheep.
Avery with 12 carries for only 29 yards against this Rider defense. They bring the blitz here. Pressure, balls away and incomplete. Avery reaching for it. Couldn't catch it when Sean Lucas was there to knock him to the turf. And incomplete. Well, Luka Kanji missing that 49-yarder. Now he's just 7 of 13, Chris. Outside the 40. There he is at the end of the bench. You know, they leave the kickers alone when they're struggling.
And they leave the kickers alone at the best of times. They're a different breed, those guys. But it's interesting. You well know that there's a big controversy going on at Calgary. They thought DeAngelis, who was kicking at 85%, should have got the nod. He's at 69% success, and that's basically a statistically driven nomination or All-Star, but maybe the fans had something to do with that.
You got to wonder, because the fans are voting for the first time, whether those fans in the Rider Nation stuffed the ballot box. I mean, 69 versus 85, Kanji versus DeAngelis. Hardy into the wind as a shank end over end, bouncing. James Johnson, the returner here, has it, and then Brian Crawford wraps him up, and Crawford will be called for no yards, the Argo and CFL special team leader in tackles.
Heads up play by Brian Crawford, realizing the ball is bouncing. The worst the flag can be is 5 yards. Smart play.
No yards. Toronto number 40. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So a 35-yard punt, pretty good by Hardy into the wind. It'll be a 30-yard net with the penalty, as there was no return on the play by James Johnson. The Rider defense, Chris, in this second half has done a pretty good job shutting down the Argos on their 2 drives so far. But with the win, can Kerry Joseph get something going here? See his first half stats below 50%. 4-man Argo rush. And it's complete to DJ Flick, his first catch of the game against Kevin Ivan, as Kenny Wheaton comes in to make the tackle. But DJ Flick has had a hard time getting involved in this offense. And there is a flag over by the Argo sideline.
Well, it looked like Wayne Smith, 52, is going to come into your screen. He's kind of coming over, and he's going to get involved late. You see him right there with Mike O'Shea.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 52 was after the play. We second down, back 15 yards from the end of the play. Second down.
And you know, Mark, Saskatchewan is the least penalized team in the CFL, and they are falling apart. They're taking a lot of penalties today, uncharacteristically, and bad penalties. Pass interference calls, objectionable conducts, unnecessary roughness ones. These are hurting them.
Yeah, and now it's 2nd and 23 for Kent Austin and the Rider offense. Henry Childs, the lone man in the backfield. Joseph calling his own number on a quarterback draw, and it's a beautiful call. Upfield, the defense parts. Joseph, the CFL's leading rusher among quarterbacks, will get across midfield. His biggest run of the game, 36 yards.
First down, right. Now that's the biggest run of the season for Kerry Joseph. As longest before was 31 yards. And this is the added dimension that Kerry Joseph gives you, is when he breaks through, he's like a running back, and he's very hard to bring down. And he is just something that has to be utilized for this offense to be running properly.
There's one thing that Ken Austin said about his team. He said, I really like that we have no quit on this team. There's a lot of resiliency. And we'll see if they can come back here today. And a pass too low into the turf, intended for Khalil Hill, and incomplete. So Joseph, with a great run, still struggling with the arm.
Well, I think Kerry Joseph is very fortunate this ball went into the turf. I believe Byron Parker would have took this all the way back had he had some height on this ball. He got a great jump and a read on this pass by Kerry Joseph, and boy, is fortunate it went to the turf this one.
Joseph has protected the ball so well this year. 24 touchdown passes, just 8 interceptions. In the shotgun again. Time. Now he's flushed, and he'll run again. Straight arm, and the big quarterback is brought down. Willie Pyle on the tackle, short of the first down. Flags are down, though.
Yeah, it's going to be involving, I believe, Jeremy O'Day working against Adriano Belli. Willie Pyle slamming his hands together, and applause. But you know what, Mark, you can't have Kerry Joseph, as much as I'd like to see him run, you can't have him your whole offense. You can't see him take off every time. He's taking a lot of hits. You mentioned that earlier.
Holding Saskatchewan number 67. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Mike Abumekrick with the holding call, but that's been the story of the whole season for this offense. Kerry Joseph has been the cog in this offense. They lost Matt Dominguez midway through the season. They just lost Mike Washington. They don't have Wes Cates. They don't have Chris Zarka. On and on. No Corey Holmes. He's had to do it almost by himself, and today he's struggling without having all his weapons.
Well, that's a terrible call. I got to tell you right now, it's a double team on Belly. I knew Belly was involved, but just because you push him down doesn't mean you're holding him. Oh.
Just over 7 minutes with the wind here in the third quarter for Joseph. Now he loads up downfield for Hill. It's too high and in behind him as Hill was running that post route and incomplete. On the sidelines, Kahari.
Mark and Chris, you guys mentioned the penalties and how Saskatchewan has been the least penalized team this year. Well, I'm on the sidelines next to Ken Austin, and every time that there's a penalty, you can just see him cringing on the sideline. That's one thing that Ken Austin cannot take. He can take play, and the guy's not playing up to standards, but he cannot take them shooting themselves in the foot. And even on that drive, the last play of the half, they had 2 penalties that were big to get Toronto a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah, and Joseph in the second half has 1 completion in 5 attempts for only 2 yards.
Let him go!
Borum, end over end. And Arlen Bruce watching it bounce out of bounds. A good punt, no return on the play as that sailed through the air for 46 yards from Jamie Borum. Scott Schultz has been mic'd up all afternoon in the trenches. Let's check back in with him.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Don't listen to the propaganda. You're in Riderville. Hey, we ain't out of this for a mile, man. Everyone just calm down. That's all. Yeah! Yeah!
No, Schultz not too worked up despite the fact his team is down by 11. That's what you like about a veteran, eh, Chris? It keeps everybody on an even keel.
Well, both these teams have got a lot of key veterans, and they're going to be relied on heavily to bring a good outcome to this game.
Bishop had a great first half against the wind here, starting at his 17, firing a route in behind Tony Miles. He couldn't one-hand it, and it's incomplete.
But again, Michael Bishop is really showing me something. We talked about the fact that he really frustrates people because of the fact he looks like he's not in the game, and next thing you know, you see him, he's on fire. And last week, when he hit the 30-yard touchdown pass to Arlen Bruce, before that he struggled. And here, I mean, great reads. He's getting the ball where it needs to go. That one was a little behind the intended receiver, but I like the fact he knows where he's going to go with that ball quickly, and it is open.
Marcus Crandall warming up. There's Ken Miller with some advice at the Saskatchewan bench. Second down, a deep corner to Arlen Bruce. He's got it in double coverage. And a big first down. Tad Cornegay fried again by Arlen Bruce.
Well, and we talked about the strength of Bishop, and we're just going to go on about Bishop all afternoon if he keeps playing like this, but I mean, this is a great touch on the ball. He gives it beautiful air underneath his ball, and he lands it in to Bruce in double coverage. I mean, it's hard enough to throw the ball when you got a wind coming at you, but to put that nice touch on it, that's where you got to start giving some kudos to Michael Bishop.
Arlen Bruce, 6 catches for 118 yards with that gain of 25. Just the second time this season he's caught for more than 100 yards in a game. First down Argos, play action. Down the sideline, and it just hit the DB on the corner there, Eddie Davis. And Tony Miles, the intended receiver, didn't even see the football, and neither did Davis until it hit him.
Well, this is improvisation at its best. Little play action. Looks like they're going to run the option. You see Troy Davis. Now he's trying to lead him up the field. And as you see, Tony Miles is trying to come back inside to the middle. He comes into the middle, and that ball's completed. Tony Miles is off to the races.
Second and 10 from the 42. There's another matchup. Again, Miles and Davis on the short side. Bishop looking that way again. Throwing deep for Satut. He's got it. Obed Satut beating Eddie Davis. And he's got his second big catch of the football game. And Satut hauls that one in 44 yards. Just 2 short of his longest of the year.
Well, they're just going to run a little crossing pattern. All they're going to do is do a fly pattern straight down the numbers with 16 Satut. And he just gets away. It's a nice job of finding the ball and concentrating on it and allowing his body to adjust to the ball in flight. He slows down a little bit, and that keeps Eddie Davis away.
How about that powerful passing arm of Michael Bishop into the wind, just flicking his wrist on that one. Bishop now 287 yards passing on the day. Check that, 288. We'll give him one more for good measure. Hand off to Troy Davis. Davis bouncing outside into the waiting arms of Sean Lucas. And Bishop is complaining that there was a face mask on the play.
Yeah, Michael Bishop trying to appeal to the officials to throw the flag on that play. Done a nice job of mixing in a little bit, just sprinkling a little bit of running in there. Utilizing either Avery or Troy Davis.
Davis with 4 carries for 11 yards. But Bishop has been criticized for locking onto his receivers this year, especially in the last month. Has looked pretty good here today against this pass defense. Double tight formation. Bishop scrambling now, running with the football, carrying it in his hand, and he'll haul it across the 10-yard line for a first down on that 2nd and 8 carry. And we haven't seen him run with the football that much ever since he had that wrist break in week 3 of the season.
Well, I mean, when you're running 6 receivers out wide right now, they're going to bring a blitz to the short side. That opens up everything. He just got to put the ball down, and it just becomes a little foot race to get a first down. Nice job. Good recognition again, and it's a comfort zone, and Michael Bishop is very comfortable out there right now.
2 weeks ago against Montreal, he had 5 carries, his longest, 5 carries for a total of 40 yards. That was a season high in terms of rushes for the big quarterback. On the ground again to Avery this time. A nice move at the line of scrimmage, and Avery crosses the 5 to about the 3-yard line.
Yeah, the offensive line, Mark, is doing a nice job at the point of attack, and they're staying on their blocks. And that allows, you see the stutter step by John Avery? If the defense is getting penetration, that play is dead in the water. The fact that the O-line is staying on their blocks and keeping their feet driving allows John Avery the ability to change direction and find a hole.
Well, the Argos again into the wind. Another terrific drive, taking more than 4 minutes off the clock here. 2nd and goal from the 4. Rolling to the short side. Bishop firing a dart to the end zone. Touchdown. Andre Talbot hangs on. His 2nd receiving touchdown of the football game. What a drive. It started at the Argos 17 into the wind.
And during a number of these plays, look at the strength. I mean, that ball is there just before the cover man gets there. Now he's going to argue, Urban Justin, that the ball hit the ground, but Talbot is very, very sure-handed. Comes up with, as you say, his 2nd touchdown catch of the afternoon after that nice 43-yarder in the first half.
2 touchdowns on the afternoon for Talbot. The point after from Chris Hardy, subbing for the injured Prefontaine, is good. And Talbot now has 6 TDs on the season.
Family, I love you.
There's the Argo leading receiver.
Rob, Mom, Grandma.
With a 4-yard touchdown catch, Andre Talbot.
Well, just a really nice job, and you'll see there's double tight end protection. Now watch as they pull a guy out for extra protection to the outside. That allows Michael Bishop to get to the outside untouched, and he delivers a bullet low and away in pitcher's term, where only Andre Talbot can come up with the catch.
The Argos in 4 ventures into the red zone, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, and they cap a 93-yard drive into the wind with that touchdown catch. There's a flag down on the kickoff. Khalil Hill into traffic near the 44-yard line, and it looks like the indication is it's against the Argos as Marcus Crandall comes onto the football field in relief of Kerry Joseph here in the last minute and a half of this 3rd quarter. This was the scene just moments ago at the Rider bench. A rather heated discussion between Kent Austin and Kerry Joseph. And a pat on the back to Joseph as he is informed that he's coming out of the football game. What a tough decision, though, on the final weekend of the regular season to pull your starting quarterback going into the playoffs, your first home playoff in nearly 20 years.
And that's why he's upset, because he does not have the proper sync with his offense right now. Yeah, he'll be pulled. If they're doing things wonderfully on offense, he's got no problem sitting down. But they got some struggles. They got some issues on offense, and that's why he's not happy.
He's a proud quarterback, a positive man. who has kept his head up all season. I asked him to describe his journey in the CFL to his nomination this year as most outstanding player, and he said, I'll tell you, I'll sum it up in one word: perseverance. Through the ups and downs, through the naysayers and the injuries, I've kept a positive attitude. And he's being challenged in that department right now as he's pulled out of this football game in the final minute and a half of this third quarter.
Well, their offense just has to get on the same page. When you got guys like Fantuz and Flick, Mark, with only one catch, you got to figure out what's wrong.
There's an offside call against the Argos as they re-kick. And, well, the result's almost identical as the Riders and Marcus Crandall will start offense near their 45-yard line. Crandall, who started last week in the overtime win against the Eskimos, comes onto this football field and has tremendous support from Kent Austin. He said yesterday, I love Marcus. He's completely unselfish. He's been the consummate pro and a great teammate and a great friend of Kerry Joseph. He comes in here in the dying minutes of this third quarter in the shotgun, under pressure. Crandall throwing, and he has a completion on his first pass of the game to Nathan Hoffert, the local boy who makes good with his first catch. Crandall last week, Chris, looked pretty sharp in his start, his only start of the season. DJ Flick with a big catch across the middle as the Riders came from behind to win, and Crandall is said to be the most accurate passer that Ken Austin says he's ever seen in this league. He's got a completion on his first pass. Here's his second. Across the middle, and again complete. Only the second catch of the game for Andy Fantuz. And Fantuz will move the yardsticks. Another Saskatchewan first down.
You know, it always surprises me when they make a quarterback change and the offense all of a sudden starts to get some life, and the quarterback that comes in sees things that the guy that was originally playing at that position didn't. I mean, that's two nice passes by Marcus Crandall, and here he's changing the play right now.
And another first down. Staying in the shotgun in the no huddle. Crandall. Movement, and it was Mike Abumekrik who jumped quickly. And Jermise Jones checked that at the right tackle along with Mekrik.
And these are penalties like you heard Kahari Jones talk about this earlier.
Saskatchewan number 53. 5-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
I mean, they really hurt you. I mean, you get a nice rhythm going, you start to get two things together, and all of a sudden you take a penalty that you have to snap count. There's no excuse for it.
Kahari, what do you think of the quarterbacking change?
Yeah, Chris, I think you're exactly right about the backup quarterback having a different viewpoint from the sideline. I know as a backup, I always saw different things, and then you can think about what I'm going to do against the blitz, what I'm going to do against certain things the defense is going to try to do.
Crandall throwing backside for Palmer. It's intercepted. Kenny Wheaton with his second pick in 3 games takes it back to the 30-yard line. So Crandall's promising first series in relief of Kerry Joseph goes awry. Marcus Crandall trying to sort it out with Michael Palmer, who didn't appear to be even looking when they threw the ball. And it was intercepted by Kenny Wheaton. Wheaton now with his 4th interception of the season, his 2nd in the last 3 games. Matt Dominguez is out for the year with that knee injury. Boy, they miss him, but his leadership, always a big factor in the locker room and on the sidelines. But this Saskatchewan team is not going into the playoffs the way they'd hoped. Not this way. Argos, Bishop rolling wide side, throwing downfield for Talbot. He had trouble getting free of James Johnson there, and it's incomplete. Third quarter statistics, Chris Walby.
Well, I think they should favor dramatically the Argos. In fact, to take a look at that 291 yards, net yards 330 to 160. It's been the Michael Bishop show. We talked about how he'd have to elevate his game. especially if he had hopes of clinching first and getting the playoff games at home where the Grey Cup is, in the Dome.
Yes, the climate-controlled Rogers Centre in Toronto. And interesting to see the defense, which has really carried the Argos, coming to the fore in that last series, as Bishop has struggled here in the second half with 3 completions. Here he goes on second down, a bullet to Tony Miles, and Miles has it stripped by Eddie Davis. And the Argos will have to punt.
Well, if there's one bonus to the fact that Chris Hardy is in punting in place of Noel Prefontaine, it's that they do have the wind at their back for the fourth quarter. Some people were a little surprised that Saskatchewan decided to take the ball in the third with the wind and give up the fourth, which is, you know, a little longer, especially when you have the last 3 minutes stop time.
You have to wonder if after their halftime adjustments, the Riders were trying to, you know, get something going offensively to start the second half, but it just hasn't happened.
Remember, when you come out flat, 2 things can happen. One, you have potential to injury, Mark. The second is you may reveal some cracks in your schemes. And with Calgary coming to town next week, you know they're going to be going over this game film and found out what worked for Toronto.
There's Kitwana Jones being helped to his feet. Ivan Gutfriend, the trainer. And injuries have been a huge problem for this team all year. We talk about the Riders trying to get some chemistry and some rhythm going into the playoffs. But there are a lot of players in this game who are in uniform but are banged up, Chris, and there are a lot of guys who can't play and will be in uniform next week. Players like Corey Holmes and Cates and Marcus Adams, perhaps TJ Stansel on defense. They really are a banged up team late in the season.
Well, it's a tale of 2 cities. Toronto's getting healthy. Saskatchewan's got a lot of injuries.
Argos red hot, winners of 8 of their last 9 games and on a 6-game winning streak here, hoping to clinch first place on this, the final weekend of the season. A high snap, Hardy knocks it down, just kicks it on the ground, and a heads-up play there. It's picked up by Hoffert. No yards flags fly on the Argos as Chris Hardy averts a near disaster with a 17-yard kick off the turf on a fumbled snap. Randy Sroschinsky, the former Regina Ram, with a very rare botched long snap that Chris Hardy luckily got a piece of.
Well, I mean, initially this had disaster written all over it. You see the snap goes a little high to the left. Chris Hardy tries to bring it down. This is heads up, though. That's heads up right there, kicking it off the ground and basically giving Saskatchewan the worst field position to start this drive.
Hardy, of course, in the game for the injured Noel Prefontaine. Here's Marcus Crandall, an outlet pass to Henry Childs out of the backfield, and he'll twist ahead to the 40-yard line and have a gain of about 7 on the play.
Mark, I'm always interested when I watch offenses play against a blitzing defense, and you see they bring Willie Powell almost all the time from the outside. Why you don't run more screens to the side? Run it to the side to bring the linebacker from. If the linebacker is going to keep coming, you've got a wide open receiver or running back. Force him to cover your back.
It'll be 2nd and 5. Crandall under pressure gets it away, and it's complete to Corey Grant. And he has his first catch of the game, and it will be what looks like a first down, spotted just shy of the 35-yard line.
Well, Saskatchewan, who didn't really do much with the wind in the third quarter, putting together a little bit of a decent drive here to start the fourth quarter against the wind.
Crandall, the quarterback, replacing Kerry Joseph in the last minute and a half of the third quarter. He has played in 7 games this year. Threw for 250 yards, a touchdown, and a pick last week against Edmonton. Crandall loading up, can't get it away. His arm is hit in the backfield, and they'll roll it, an incomplete pass.
Mark, they keep bringing the same blitz package, whether it's Fletcher and Willie Powell, Fletcher or Chuck Winters. They are bringing 2 from the strong side, and here they come again. Watch, here's the 2 guys right there. They only can pick up 1. You have to recognize that. Your receiver to that side should recognize that. Break off, come back into the open area, get rid of the ball quickly. You can't hold it, or it's disaster every time.
Well, defense has been spotted. Some big points, 31 by the Argo offense here today. And now they're turning up the heat with a blitz here on second down, and Crandall has it tipped and can't make a completion.
Mark, if you're going to beat this defense and you're going to sit in the pocket like that, now watch, they're going to bring a blitz from both sides this time.
Steinauer, the safety blitz on this one, Chris.
And they got O'Shea coming right up the middle. You should look at rolling your quarterback. Get him to the outside, away from one side of the pressure. Put some pressure on that blitzing guy, but sitting back there, you allow both sides of that defense to be effective against you.
Well, into the wind, Jamie Borum into the game to punt. And the Argos aware of a fake here. What a stat. They are 10-1 this year when leading after 3 quarters. And a 31-13 lead they have right now. Borum angling an end over end punt. And it will go out of bounds. And there will be no return. The Argos with the win come back on offense when we return to Regina.
.11:41 to play here at Mosaic Stadium. Argos 31, Riders 13 during the break. We saw Michael Pinball Clemens at his cheerleading best. He was running up and down the bench, reminding his players they still have a quarter to play. Let's not quit. Let's keep it up. We cannot afford to let these guys off the hook. First place is at stake. Guys?
Yes, Steve, the Pinball, the master of motivation, to be sure. And his team with a big lead here, 31-13. Bishop, a tremendous game, but the second half he's cooled off on the ground. Avery still on his feet, hard to bring down, and finally wrestled to the turf across the 35-yard line. A 22-yard run for John Avery on the play.
And Mark, every time that John Avery runs with the football, he looks to the bench and wants them to recognize. Let's take a look what he's done this afternoon. Nice job blocking, going over, scoring touchdowns, but really just being a heartbeat of that offense right now. And anytime he gets it, with whether it's through the pass or on the ground, he's making the Saskatchewan defense pay.
14 carries for 57 yards for John Avery. Bishop loading up, throwing downfield for Talbot. Jump ball, and he's got it in front of Arabin Justin. And he's slow to get up, landed on his back, may have lost his wind. But Andre Talbot has been Michael Bishop's favorite receiver. A, because he runs such meticulous routes, and B, because he comes down with the ball like that.
Well, I think B is more important. You can run great routes, you can't catch the ball, don't mean nothing to me. The fact is, he does catch these balls. I mean, he does a nice job again of adjusting to the ball in air. He knows he's going to get hit, and he's going to take a good hard hit as he comes down on the ground. But he's willing to sacrifice his body to come up with that catch.
What if you can catch but you can't run?
Then you play O-line.
Talbot, 5 catches, 98 yards, 2 big touchdowns here today. As he continues to up his lead in the final week of the season in the Argo receiving corps. Talbot, Chris, is one of 4 Canadian receivers to lead their teams in receiving this year.
Well, it's definitely nice to see. I know Brock Ralph in Hamilton. Brett Ralph's having a good year in Calgary.
Kamal Peterson in Edmonton and Ben Cahoon in Montreal. But 4 Canadians, half the teams are led in receiving this year by Canadian receivers. Bishop across the 50 at the 49 of Saskatchewan. Lots of time in the pocket. Going over all his reads. Now he throws, coming back to it is Talbot. He takes a big hit from James Johnson, and it's incomplete, but laying himself out and paying a price there, Andre Talbot.
You know, the more I see Andre Talbot, the more I really like the way this guy plays. A lot of teams put a Canadian wide receiver at, and all he is a decoy. You run him up and down. A lot of teams, if they don't respect your wide receiver, they cheat to the inside, take away your slot backs. They have to respect Andre Talbot. Let's take a listen to this hit.
Ooh, yeah, that hurts. Talbot came into this game, Chris, with 233 yards receiving in his last 3 games. Just 2 shy of his second 100-yard receiving game here today. And real strong down the stretch. 2nd and 10, Bishop across the middle. It's caught by Satut. He gets past Lloyd, and Lloyd catches up to knock him to the turf with some help from Sean Lucas. But Satut now with 3 big catches for the Argos.
And somebody down in the backfield of the Argos after the play, and the medical staff runs quickly on the field, is taking another look at it. One of the things the Argos do well is they see the blitz and they're able to take advantage of the blitz, and they find the open receiver quickly. The receivers and the quarterback are on the same page. He recognizes it, he cuts his route off, the ball's delivered, it's a first down. Make them pay for blitzing your quarterback.
It's Mike Pearson, the starting left tackle, former NFLer, who missed 9 games earlier this year because of a bad finger injury, and the way he's holding on to his face mask there, he looks to be in a great deal of difficulty. Heralded as perhaps the top offensive lineman in Steve Barato's offense, Chris. So we'll take a break while the Argos take a look at Mike Pearson. All right, thank you, Elliot. And the Argos with a first down at the 38-yard line of Saskatchewan. We'll sort out the substitution on the O-line with the injury to Mike Pearson as Avery is hogtied and wrestled to the turf. John Chick, the rookie of the year here in Saskatchewan, with a big tackle there.
Well, it's going to take a couple plays for everybody to get used to playing again. And you see 64, Glenn January, who started the game at right tackle, has now moved to the left tackle spot. That usually means that Brian Ramsey is more suited to playing the right side than the left.
2nd and 10, no gain on the play by Avery. Bishop loading up downfield for Arlen Bruce. Touchdown, Toronto. And that has taken the life out of this stadium. And once again, Arlen Bruce is having his way with Tad Cornegay.
Well, he just ran away from Tad Cornegay. Basically, just runs it down and breaks it to the post pattern. Little bit of a shake to the outside. Now watch him as he breaks it back in. He turns the hips. Once Cornegay's hips are turned and he turns around like that, it is all over. Arlen Bruce knows that's just an easy run to the end zone.
Arlen Bruce with a team-leading 7th receiving touchdown here today. And how about these long drives by the Argo offense? That one starting at the 13. They also scored from a drive that started at the 12 and at the Argo 17-yard line. Michael Bishop with his best career passing day, and it couldn't come at a better time on the final weekend of the regular season.
Well, again, protection, nice job, and he's just going to come into your screen. He just runs a little post route, little fake to the outside, and turns Cornegay all the way around and just breaks it back to the goalpost. Watch the hips turn. Once he turns these hips to the inside, it's over. Boom. It's done right there, fellas. He's facing that way, and the receiver's going that way. It's all over.
Arlen Bruce with 8 catches for 155 yards and a touchdown here today. That's his best receiving game of the season, bettering his previous high back in October of 106 against Edmonton. And look at the big smile on Bishop's face.
Absolutely. I mean, he came out and flat out said last week, I did not play well. He completed 34% of his passes last week. 10 for 29. Was not happy against Winnipeg. Said, I've got to get better if we are going to go any further. Well, he's done and answered the bell today.
Oh, sweet vindication for the Argo starter and accolades from his coordinator. Yeah, he'd been under a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism coming into this game. The last 2 weeks with some pretty low passing numbers. Last week, 34% completion average and 145 yards passing against Winnipeg, and he's more than doubled that here today. A botched catch there by Hill. He's got it, high stepping his way and hitting the turf at the 28-yard line. Warrior of the Year, we remind you to log on to cbcsports.ca and vote for the player who has shown heart, grit, courage, all the keys that make a warrior. And we'll let you know who wins in the post-game show. Warrior of the Game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade. I don't know, I think Bruce is a factor. Talbot's a factor. Michael Bishop's got to be the big leader.
Well, I think that it's a safe bet it'll be somebody from the double blue.
The Riders have scored but 1 point in this second half. And Crandall has come into the game in relief of Kerry Joseph. He's got a strike there, a nice catch. Sliding to the turf is Khalil Hill, and a first down. And I want to ask you this, big man. with Kerry Joseph being pulled in this football game and having a pretty rough game through 3 quarters, is that going to hurt his chances in the final balloting for most outstanding player, because those votes will be cast this weekend?
Well, you know, it definitely could have some impact on that, Mark. I think the biggest thing is that you looked at Kevin Glenn's game last night. He played a little better, but he had a rough game as well. I think both of them have had outstanding years, and I hate the fact that it would come down to one game. It should be a measure of the entire season, not the final game.
There's a challenge on that last catch coming from the Argo bench. Fans not liking that. A few who remain here at Mosaic Stadium. Pinball, the most likable figure in this game, has a big smile for the grousing Rider fans. Chris, you were saying you didn't like the fact that the voting even began before the regular season was over. But this will be 18 complete games for both Joseph and Kevin Glenn. You're right, Glenn didn't look spectacular yesterday.
Well,
but neither did
Kerry
Joseph.
All we've heard the entire past 2-3 weeks is how Kevin Glenn had such a monster start.
And challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was complete. I'll review it.
And then how his numbers had dropped off in the last part of the season. And then how Kerry Joseph had taken his team to the best, 12-5 record before today. I mean, but I think when you go down there, I like the fact that it should be measured, because you're playing an 18-game schedule. When anybody's played 18 games, you're going to have highs and lows.
Yep.
I mean, it is what you do to get your team to where it needs to be. Now, I think the offense as a whole in Winnipeg is not as sharp as it has been, but they're also missing Charles Roberts. They're missing some key players in there. So, I mean, I think there's some definite things to look at.
Look, I know you played 16 years for the Bombers, but discounting that, Kerry Joseph has been without a lot of players too. Matt Dominguez, Wes Cates.
I was thinking you were trying to say that I was trying to lean one way or the other. No, granted I got to live there, but I'll tell you right now, both these players have had outstanding years. And I think that when you look at Kerry Joseph, what I'm saying is I hope that he's not judged on this one game.
Right,
as
that's
far
a
as
good
the
point.
entire year, because, I mean, that's just not fair.
It's been a season of leadership. There's another look at that challenge. It's hard to see as Glenn Johnson was in the way there of that angle, although it did look like the ball may have come loose on the turf for Khalil Hill.
Well, when things are going your way, why not throw the flag and take away what might have been one promising catch by Saskatchewan?
Getting back to Kerry Joseph, the last Rough Rider to be nominated, or to be the Western nominee for most outstanding players, Corey Holmes. We mentioned he was injured with a shoulder injury last week.
Upon review,
in Edmonton,
the player's arm was underneath the football when he caught it. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands.
Well, you can see the humor in that. I mean, obviously you can laugh about it when the score is the way it is right now.
a lot of the fans just want to get this over with. I think, Chris, a lot of them have already left the stadium in droves.
Well, if Saskatchewan has needed a wake-up call, they definitely got one today.
Crandall, quick release in the flats, and a drop ball to Neil Hughes, who is starting his second game at fullback in place of Chris Zarka. There you see the half-empty stands here as these fans don't like the way the season has ended as they get ready for their first home playoff.
Well, you take a look at the game summary. Avery obviously 2 rushing touchdowns. Bruce, what a great day. Bishop, career high 366 passing yards. Joseph 92 only for Saskatchewan. The fact is Bishop has used 6 receivers as well, Mark. He's really spread the ball around well.
And this is the second highest scoring game for the Argo offense this season. They had 48 points in a win over Calgary in week 3. The Bishop left with that wrist injury. Crandall under pressure. And the Argo sack masters have got him again. It's Jonathan Brown celebrating the sack. If he's credited with his second of the game, that'll give him 13 for the year and match his career high.
Well, he just keeps coming. This Argo defense just creates opportunities for people to make big plays. They bring so many people. There's Ivan. Once again, Steinhauer from the safety position comes down low. And all they're doing up top is rotating. So it looks like the safety blitz, but they actually got one of the defensive backs rotating in that safety position. So it's trying to give your quarterback a misread.
Saw Rich Stugler there. You know, he nearly cut Jonathan Brown during his rookie year back in 2004 when he was late for a meeting. And Pinball Clemens actually talked him out of it. And good thing he did. Brown, the defensive nominee. In the East, Dominic Dorsey with some side steps and a move to the 45-yard line. And a return of 13 yards. Still to come tonight, of course, Hockey Night in Canada, all starting at 6:30 Eastern with Scotiabank Hockey tonight. Leafs at Montreal, Boston taking on Ottawa. That'll be seen in the Ottawa Valley. And Game 2, Vancouver at Colorado on Hockey Night in Canada. And a quarterback change coming for the Argonauts as Rocky Butler comes into the game for Toronto. He was the quarterback of record the last time these two teams met on August the 10th and had a pretty decent game, passing for 303 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. The former Saskatchewan Roughrider in double blue at home here in Regina, handing off to John Avery, and Avery is stacked up on the play in a big pileup.
Yeah, Ian, Rocky Butler getting an opportunity to come out and play against his ex-teammates. As you said, over 300 yards. They had a great game in their loss to Saskatchewan at the Rogers Center. It was just the fact, remember, the Livingston fumbled that return, and that was recovered by Wayne Smith and led to the DJ Flick touchdown to win that game.
Otherwise, really, Rocky Butler deserved a win in that one. 3 turnovers in that football game, a couple of fumbles and a pick that spoiled an otherwise nice 300-yard passing performance. Butler hitting Arlen Bruce, the game's leading receiver here today, and he'll be just shy of the first down as they spot it at the center field stripe. And a reminder to our viewers that Saturday Report will follow this football game at the conclusion. Time ticking off the clock. The Argos will keep their offense on the football field. Third and less than a yard from center field. Rocky Butler. The quarterback sneak, and he'll have the first down, and there's some extracurricular activity in the pileup. Kahari Jones.
Guys, one of the things that Ken Austin has to be concerned about, I mean, among a few things, is the defensive back play. One of the things I'm seeing on the sidelines in the zone coverage, they are playing so soft today and allowing the Toronto Argonauts to get underneath. And in man-to-man, you saw they just cannot stay. Tad Gornegay had his problems with Arlen Bruce all day long, and it doesn't get any easier next week when they go against Calgary with Copeland and Lewis in the middle.
And Henry Burr is throwing the ball. So, I mean, you're right, Kari. I think the biggest thing, as I mentioned earlier, yeah, they're playing a soft zone, but the fact is Michael Bishop is just putting the ball where it has to be, and his receivers are coming up with great catches.
It's amazing how the complexion of a season can change. This team coming in on a 5-game win streak as they stay on the ground. A fumbled football as John Avery lost the ball near the line of scrimmage. And Chad Rempel, the Saskatchewan sophomore, comes up with it. But interesting how the complexion can change. Here's Saskatchewan on a 5-game winning streak, and on the final game of the season they look pretty rough as they head into their first home playoff next weekend in nearly 20 years. Running back Wes Cates sidelined for the second week in a row here with a knee injury, part of the walking wounded on this Rider bench, and they hope he'll be ready to come back with the rest to light it up next weekend when they host Calgary. Kerry Joseph alone with his thoughts next to his head coach Ken Austin, having been pulled in the third quarter of this football game. It was a rough one for Kerry.
Well, you know, he didn't want to be pulled. He wanted to make sure that he came out on a winning kind of a note and having the offense kind of click, but he was taking some shots, Mark.
A lot of shots.
I think you got to keep him healthy.
And that's a good point. He took a lot of shots from this Argo defense. 2nd and 9 at the 53. Butler standing in the pocket, and he finds Arlen Bruce. First down territory with a catch in front of Rontarius Robinson. He's playing today in place of Lance Frazier, who's injured again.
Yeah, Arlen Bruce is just having one whale of a football game. He is being the go-to guy time and time again, whether it be Michael Bishop or Rocky Butler. They're both throwing the ball, their precision right on.
Yeah, Bruce, 10 catches now for 171 yards and a touchdown. We mentioned how this is the second highest scoring game for the Argos this year. It's also the second highest points allowed for the Saskatchewan defense. The previous high was 44 against Calgary in week 11. Hand off to John Avery, and Avery finding it tough going at the line of scrimmage as he's ganged up on by Reggie Hunt and the newcomer, Brent Curvey. Your game notes.
Well, we talked about they must come out of the basement. Boy, did they move right to the penthouse today. 38 points, 456 total yards. Defense, 1 touchdown today. The biggest thing, Mark, when you talk about this defense, 15 passing touchdowns in 18 games. They haven't given up a passing touchdown in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's the best pass defense in the CFL, no question. Final 2 minutes of the ball game. Butler in the shotgun, throwing wide side, and Talbot, nice catch there. And another first down as Talbot beats Arabin Justin. Now your Saskatchewan game notes.
Well, let's take a look. We talked about KJ, and that's Jerry Joseph. He's the most outstanding player nominee for the West. Only 92 yards passing, 49 rushing, but he was taking some hits out there. Better to keep him safe and healthy for next week. And on defense, Hot Chick, talking about John Chick, he's had a good couple games leading up to this one, but the defense as a whole, we're not just going to pick on John Chick, did not come to play today.
No, they've given up 38 points here today. Rocky Butler has been perfect. 3 passes, 3 completions for 28 yards in late relief of Michael Bishop, who's had a great day. Bouncing outside, then cutting back is John Avery. And Avery will have a gain of about 4.
Mark, here's the question you got to ask. Robert Edwards is at home right now, and he's been injured. He hasn't been in the lineup for the last couple of weeks. Now, when he gets healthy, what do? You've got John Avery, who's playing probably as good as he's played when he's 100% healthy. You've got Troy Davis now. How do you get Robert Edwards in? You know, you're not supposed to lose your position to injury, but what do you do when that comes up?
Well, I'll tell you what. Have you ever seen this offense look better than today?
No, they look pretty good right now.
They've got some pretty good chemistry. They've got a good thing going. Maybe you stick with it.
Having said that, some teams match up well against other teams. Who knows?
Butler, 5 steamboats, now flushed from the pocket, gets away. Nice move there on Chick, now throwing for the end zone, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Obed Satut in coverage by Arabin Justin, but just a little too high. Wednesdays on CBC, all your favorite characters are back for a brand new episode of Little Mosque on the Prairie. Then from the host of The Amazing Race, a new series where contestants take on the challenge of a lifetime. No opportunity wasted. That's Wednesday on CBC. Michael Bishop with a red letter day here today, his highest passing total. Rocky Butler with some pats in the back. He was 3 for 4 on that drive. And now a field goal attempt here for Chris Hardy. Remember, Noel Prefontaine left in the first half with what we think is a concussion-related injury. This attempt will come from the 33-yard line for Hardy, and Hardy has it up with the wind, and good. So the Argos will put 41 points on the board in the final minute with a 41-13 lead. And look at the celebration. Pinball on the sideline with Bill Dietrich, one of the offensive coaches in the Argos staff. And with all the questions and criticism that the offense has faced, boy, if they answered brightly here in the final week.
If you're Toronto and you've been relying on your defense and special teams, which have been playing superb all year, now you get this kind of performance out of your offense as a 3-pronged juggernaut. Boy, I tell you what, going in to the playoffs, knowing you have a home game now, you have the East Final. You're 1 game away from the Cup again. Woo.
An amazing second half for the Argos indeed. Bullet that's batted down on the play. Looked like Ray Fontaine may have got a piece of it as he gets some action now at linebacker on defense. What a big game he had last week with a punt block and a forced fumble.
Well, the score allows you to put some replacements in and get him some playing time. Here's another thing, Mark. When you're playing like this, and Calgary's watching this game, and they're going to break down this game film. When you've given up this much to Toronto, as an offense coordinator, even George Cortez from Calgary is going to pick some of these things out and say, what was working against the secondary? And I'll tell you what, they're going to put some of these plays in there because of their success there, and they want to duplicate it.
Crandall on 2nd and 10 in the flats to Henry Childs, and he's wrapped up by Willie Pyle right near the line of scrimmage for no gain. And so it's 3rd down and a punt situation. But let's talk about what a dramatic return to winning football the Argos made this year. Chris, they were 2-6 just before Labor Day, and they have won 9 of their last 10 games, 7 in a row to clinch first.
But they did one thing, Mark, and that is they did not panic, and they did not disband the team. They did not get rid of their veterans. They knew that the veterans would be the very reason they are here today. They kept them together. As Michael Clemens said, we had to pay a little bit more to keep them all together, but it's worth it in the long run.
A high punt from Borum to Dorsey, holding up in the wind, and Dorsey is surrounded and forced out of bounds on the play. But Michael Clemens showed a lot of patience with Michael Bishop. In fact, we asked him last week if he was close to pulling Bishop in the game, and he said no, he wanted to let him work through his troubles, and it's paid off today as the confidence shown in Bishop was realized in his best passing performance of the season, 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Argos are all smiles as they celebrate first place in the East Division. At a point this year, they were seriously looking at missing the playoffs, and they have turned it around.
13 points.
The Argos taking the final seconds off the clock.
They're going to wait for the winner. Now we know that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are indeed going to host a home playoff game against Montreal.
As the gun sounds, Michael Bishop with a season high 328 yards. Arlen Bruce with a career high 173 yards and a touchdown. Andre Talbot, 2 receiving touchdowns. The Argo offense catches fire in the final week of the season, and the Argos have clinched first place and home field for the East Division Final. The final score, Toronto 41, Saskatchewan 13, and here's Steve.
Thank you, Mark. I'm with Michael Bishop. And Michael, the Argos offense picked a perfect time to catch fire. What was the difference today?
The difference today is, us as a group coming together and say it's time to get it done. We're playing against a great team. They're a playoff team. We knew what we had to do coming to this game. We put it together. We made plays all day, and we stayed on the field. And that's a good thing about it. We helped our defense out today, and that's something that, we've been stressing all years. Stay on the field, help our defense out. Today we got it done.
Michael, a lot of quarterbacks come into Mosaic Stadium, and they're intimidated throwing into the wind. What was your secret?
My secret was don't worry about it. The wind is going to blow. I got to take my reads, get the ball to the receivers. And today, the O-line gave me enough time to get that done. I wasn't concerned with the wind, and I had fun doing it today.
Michael, congratulations.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Michael Bishop, the quarterback of the first place Toronto Argonauts. Mark?
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, what a way to go into the playoffs. The Argos will have home field for the East Final. The Riders need to regroup as they host their first playoff in nearly 20 years. They'll meet Calgary next week right here, and they need to retool before that date.
The CFL on CBC is brought to you by Rogers. Save time with easy wireless email. Set up and running in minutes.